So now we will discuss on GS1 World History topics. This video will also be useful for PSIR students as well as for your GS2 paper regarding this IR. Okay. For these three papers, this video will be useful for you because we're gonna cover the important current affairs that can be aligned with the PYQ, the previous year mains question, whichever has arrived. Based on that, these were the expected areas that we can expect. So we are jotting out those kind of questions now. So this is why important because in your mains preparation, as I know most of the students will be ignoring world history thinking that a question may or may not come. Same way, the post-Indian independence history also, you people will be neglecting it. But if one question is come and if you don't know to right answer for it, consider that you are out from the final list. So if you are okay to lose your one attempt, then you can just skip it, or you can watch this so you will get some insight so that you can at least write a basic answer in at least a basic answer can be written in a detailed manner. Now, one more thing, in your previous video, that is very much useful than this video, I will say, because the world history topics, what we have done, we have jotted down all the PYQ and we have find out the themes, sub-theme, and the keyword for the same. So based on this, if you have a clear understanding on these three factors, as well as we have added one more thing, what the UPSC mains answer is expected from you. What is the question trying to get from you? So we have jot on those things by giving you important keywords. Study that keywords, mug up those things, have that in your mind to have a ready-made answer. And most of the question also you can have a ready-made answer if you have those points in your mind with a clear clarity. Now we will see based on the current affairs that has happened in the previous years, in the last 1 or 1.5 years, what can be the expected question in world history. Sometimes the question can happen even in your IR paper for PSI option students also. PSI option students, you are always in advantage because you always know all the important IR updates. So this will be just like a extra sweet for you. Okay, a cherry in your cake. That will be the use for this video. Now, next thing is that if you haven't watched the previous video, you can watch it if you think that is relevant. If you need a ready-made answer skeleton to understand what UPSC expecting from you on each mains answer, to have a skeleton for a ready-made answer, go for that video. Okay, this video is going to discuss about the latest current affairs based. What are the expected questions? Now let's see. First thing, now why this is the important one question, because now recently the US, India, we had some kind of statements regarding what? Regarding our Operation Sindoor. In Operation Sindoor, what happened? The US president has said that he have mediated between two countries. But what our country has said in an open statement, no, no one has mediated. We ourselves has chosen this path, right? So in that context, this kind of question is gonna be highlight because it will show the exact sense where the USA like country is standing in the new world order. Okay. So the decline of Western hegemony, it is not a new theme, okay? It is an age-old theme itself. The decline of Western hegemony, it is on the based on background like US withdrawal from Afghanistan. Afghanistan, there had been US troops from long year and they have got withdrawn, and that itself has shown that US capabilities are reducing. Now, even if you take the case like the present Israel Iran conflict that is going on, in this also, if the US is so much capable, they will not be mediating it. They will always try to get their foothold in the Middle East. But have they done that this time? No, they have already taken a safe zone. And even their cabinet people are supporting to take a safe zone and to avoid from those matters. Now, based on the Afghan withdrawal and the present situation, also the rise of China, also the issues like the Ukraine war, BRICS expansion, etc., is showing that there is a decline of the Western hegemony. Earlier, there was after the Cold War period, we can see that US-like country is having an upper hand. After the USSR situation is over, the US is taking the top hand, right? So now that is slowly that is getting reduced. So probable question for world history will be The 21st century marks the decline of the Western dominated global order established post-World War. Like after the post-World War, there was a world order in which the domination was the Western powers, especially the USA. Okay. Now this thing has been changing. The 21st century is showing that there's a clear or a sharp decline in the hegemony of the Western powers. So how this new global order is happening? So that will be a potential area for your question in world history, connecting the dots of the world history context of the World War II, as well as connecting the present trend also. Okay, now critically examine with historical palace, because this will be an added option for you if that is the question for world history purely. But if it is a question for IR, you can expect this alone. Okay, even that is possible. Now let's move to next thing, that is the new colonialism, that is economic and digital. Earlier the colonial powers were using the army, the technology, etc. The technology of war and warfare. Now it is changing. That entire trend is changing. Now the new age is showing an economic type of colonialism, like the one that China is doing. Okay, like the one that China is doing. That the Belt and Road Initiative of China. Then the tech monopolies. This is also another kind of threat. Then next is the African debt. Based on these themes, you can expect a probable question like, how does modern digital and economic dominance by global powers resemble the colonial strategies of 19th century? This can be a question even for your post-independence. For sure, this will be a question in either a GS1 or GS2. Why? Because linking the colonial strategies of the 19th century to the 21st century's new the new age having the new kind of economic and digital rise. So how this will be, the modern digital and economic dominance is having a shift in the global power, and how that can be compared to the colonial strategies of 9th century. Because if you remember, India, before we had so much of development in our space, technology, etc., we had to depend for crucial things to even country like USA. You know which war I'm talking about, right? Now the situation have totally changed. Our self-reliance, okay, that is the important point. So whenever you are answering this kind of point, you are an Indian, you're writing an Indian examination, so you have to highlight how our Atmanirbhar Bharat is helping us to not fall into such kind of colonial trap again. Okay, this is one important point that will catch the attention of the whoever is correcting your answer paper. They will have a positive impact for this point. Okay, so always remember, India as a country is not now in a position to fall in the old colonial trap. Even the new colonial traps cannot be touching India, because we ourselves are showing the self-reliance. Okay, self-sufficiency. We are always in the path of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So this is one thing that is a highlight point for us to show that we are standing ahead. Okay. Now next thing. Next thing is the Israel-Palestine or the Middle East crisis that is going on. Along with that, the Iran-Israel crisis also, keep it prepared, because the exam is having again a month or month plus time. So the issue, even though that looks like it is over now, it may rise anytime. So it's safe zone to have the ready-made answer for even that. Because in your pre-exam, if you look at it, the exam happened on 25th of May, and the RBI related question, there was a RBI related question on the RBI's source of income. If you have to track it, it was on the 25th May paper itself. So if someone have read the 6 a.m. paper, maybe they would have got a chance for that. The 2 mark can be saved from the morning 6 a.m. paper. But who will have the sense to read that 6 a.m. paper on the D-Day? So that is one thing. So even the D-Day of examination paper can help, newspaper can help you, means things that have happened 1 month before can also serve as a help for you in your mains preparation. So don't think that, okay, we need not to cover the last 1 month, we can avoid it. Don't think that way. This has to be covered in a clear manner. Now, Israel-Palestine or Middle East crisis, the background is Gaza 2023-2024 war, then the colonial creation of Israel. So in this, what can be the probable question? To what extent can the Balfour Declaration and the colonial era mandates be held responsible for the modern crisis in the Middle East? In the Middle East, the modern crisis is always very different because they have to represent the identity for the religion, have to be core supporters. So they have to show that they are the real supporters. There is a war of Sunni Shia. Okay, there is a Sunni Shia war always. There is the ideological war is always between the Muslim world. In that kind of situation also, what the Middle East is showing, each one is trying to say that we are the protectors of Islam. Okay, now this modern crisis of identity, who is the protector of the religion, or who is the exact leader of this entire religion? So in that crisis, along with that present Israel's colonialization, we are linking that with the Balfour Declaration. You know Balfour Declaration things. So this is one major thing that has been responsible for the Jewish identity itself. Not the Jewish identity, the Jewish foothold in Palestine was established because of this Britain's smart idea of Balfour Declaration. This Balfour Declaration, when it happened, it was something that has Britain a government has laid forward. This helped the Israel state establishments. Up the next question is the Russia-Ukraine war. So Russia-Ukraine war is ongoing and ongoing. So what is the potential area of the question that we can expect from this for the world history paper? Okay, the rise of new blocks, NATO, Cold War, Palace. This is a background. So based on this background, what can be the expected question? That is like discuss the similarities and differences between the Cold War of 20th century and the ongoing geopolitical tensions between the NATO and Russia. So this is the expected question line. In this question, there will be no linkages that of India. That's why we say that this is a purely world history topic itself. Okay, so you are comparing the Cold War era of 20th century and you are relating that with the present geopolitical tension that is happening between NATO as well as Russia. Okay, the similarities also you have to jot on and the differences also. That is one question area. Next, we will move to the next question area. The next question area is the Global South Solidarity. There is a BRICS expansion is happening. The Africa's G20 entries happened. Then South-South cooperation is also on the news always. So what is the question that can be expected on this? The probable question will be like, compare the anti-colonial solidarity movements of the mid-20th century with the emerging global South diplomacy of today. So we are comparing the colonial struggles, that is anti-colonial struggles of 20th century, that is the mid 20th century. Okay, the mid 20th century, most of the most of the global south region had been under the imperial power, under the were a colony of the imperial power. So in that time they all have showed similar ways of solidarity. One has helped the other in different ways. So how that solidarity is different and how that can be compared as a same, how those things look similar to the new age in which we are seeing a global south diplomacy that we are seeing today, how both can be seen as same. So this is one question area. Now moving on to the next one. This is a very important topic for you. This is something we cannot ignore it. Okay, the refugee and migration crisis. First thing, the Rohingya crisis, the Syria crisis, the Gaza crisis, and the African refugee crisis. In this, what can be the important area for us? Rohingya will be important for us. Syria may or may not be important. Gaza in this way, that is a refugee crisis or migration crisis of Gaza will not be important for us. But African refugee crisis may be important because every time Africa, because this is Africa, same way, this Africa has been always a favorite topic in pre as well as mains, maybe even in interviews if you look at the toppers interview scripts. Now, what is the probable question? How has the forced migration due to conflict and colonial partition shaped the global demography and international relation in the 20th and 21st century? When we are discussing this, the US top court, today's judgment regarding the refugee situation or the migrant situation also, even study that also. That can be a case study example. Okay, so this is one question that you can expect. So how the migration, the forced migration due to the conflict and colonial partition is shaping a global demography and the international relation in the present world. And now, seeing this question, another question popped out in my mind. That is for the GS3 environment, plus that will relate to the polity also. So let's see how that can be. The forced migration due to, instead of the conflict and colonial partition, it can be due to the climate and environmental changes. Okay, how this is shaping the present demography. That can also be one question. How this is shaping the present international relation also, that can be a question. So you can prepare it in both ways also, for the GS3 also, for the GS2 or GS1 also. Okay, this is a question which has a potential to come in GS1, GS2 as well as in GS3. Next thing is the rise of fascism and authoritarianism. The background is the right wing is surging in everywhere. If you look at the global politics, okay, everywhere there is a right wing on the top leadership. Look at India, we are having a right wing government. The BJP government that we have of our Modi Sarkarji is always a right wing. Okay, so like that, if you look at the Trump administration in USA, even the Trumpji's administration is also a right wing. So globally, the fascism is rising. That is, a fascism rise means the right wing is surging. Then the media control, the erosion of the democratic values. So this is the theme. Okay, based on this theme, the erosion of democratic values and the media control, this can be a question that happen, that can be expected in GS2 also, for PSIR option people also. Now the probable question is that, do the rise of right-wing populist leaders today reflect the fastest wave of interwar Europe? See, the rise of right-wing, they are linking it to the interwar of Europe. So this is one example in which you will be stunned how to write these kind of questions. But if you're prepared, you're still having time. If you're already preparing for these kind of unexpected questions, which will come like a bomb on the D-Day, you can always be prepared for this kind of questions answer. If you are preparing at the calm of your home or at your coaching institute, it will be easy for you. Okay. Example with a historical example. So the rise of the right-wing populist leaders of today is reflecting a fastest wave of interwar Europe. Okay, interwar Europe is linked with the right-wing rise of today. How the state this with the historical examples. That is one question area. Next question area is new imperialism in Africa. The China's increasing investment, exit of France from African countries. This is the theme of the news. And what is the question expected? Africa's colonial past continues to shape its present international relation. Analyze in the context of present day foreign interventions in Africa. If you look at this question, tell me a question which can be in the same way prepared for the India also. If you know that kind of, if you are smart enough to crack such kind of question, comment that in the comment box. So in the same line, what can it? Because even like Africa, we also have a colonial past, and now we are a country that is having a highly established IR, that is international relationship with most of the global world. Okay, so how our colonial past is continuing to shape our IR relations of today, that is international relations of today, or our diplomatic relations of today, or our economic status of today. Think on those kind of lines and questions, and whichever questions come to your mind, comment that in the comment box. So we will review to see how prepared you are to have a brain to analyze or anticipate the future questions. Okay. Next. So the next question area is women's role in the revolution. Why this is the news? Recent revolutions that has been happening with the women in the forefront, like Iran protest. Iran, there was a burqa protest, the dress code protest that has been happening before. Then the global women movements that has been taking place. Then the Afghan women. One interesting fact that has came regarding the Afghan women recently is that in Afghan already the women are asked to wear the niqaba. Every one of you know what is niqaba, right? If you don't know, it is a kind of a Muslim dressing style in which it is not a mandatory dressing style. Okay, hijab is a mandatory dressing style as per the religious views, but the niqaba is not something. Now, in the niqaba, what happens? The women's eye is visible. Okay, the women's eye is visible. Rest every part of the body is covered. Now, what Afghanistan is suggesting is that even one eye is enough, because the women, even though wearing the niqab, has to cover the other side of her eye with a eyepiece or an eye cover. She has to cover one eye. She has to see with only one eye from her niqab. So that is the complete justice to the rights of women. So that is also one of the thing leading to women for the protest. In Afghanistan, the women protest movements voices heard less, only barring few examples like the fathers taking their one or two, three children to the school, even in long distance, thinking that the girl education is important, when the whole Afghanistan government is against the girl education. Now the Iran protest also, regarding the women, Iran protest, Now even in India, I remember a question for the security. Okay, though we are discussing the world history topics, this is not going to be waste for you. The Naxalism issue. Okay, Home Minister Amit Shah has always spoke that we are completely eradicating Naxalism. Now, if you are a serious aspirant, if you are writing next year pre or if you are writing this year mains, tell me what is India's deadline date to eradicate Naxalism? What is the target date and year we are focusing? You know that, comment in the comment box. If you don't study that, because this is the important fact you have to take to the examination hall, even if you're writing the mains also, next year pre also. Okay. So in Naxalism, the new thing, the old problem is the urban Naxalism. Okay. Rise of urban Naxalism was a news earlier. Now, the gender-based Naxalism is also a news topic. Why? Because the reports suggest that the women Naxals are increasing. So this is again a primary issue highlighting the women role, but not in a positive way, but in a negative way to the government. Okay. So this is also one of the question that you can expect in your security paper or even in your ethics paper also. Now, next, moving to our core topic on world history itself, let's see what is the probable question from this area. Discuss the evolution of women participation in anti-imperial and revolutionary movements globally since the 18th century. When you're writing about the women participation in anti-imperial and revolutionary movements, don't please forget our beloved women who had sweat, who had shed their blood for the Indian freedom struggle also. Okay, highlight them. Okay. Next thing is that environmental and resource colonialism. The issues because of the lithium mining, the green energy race of the global world. Now, question expected is, to what extent is the current race for critical minerals an extension of the 19th century resource colonialism? Why Africa is so poor? They have so much of resources, but they are so poor. Why? Because they have been exploited from many years. Now you can link this with the current race of critical minerals, because whichever country is having the ample amount or resource sufficient with the critical minerals, if they are not smart enough, if they're politically not a stable country, because the government may come, the government may go down, there may be a military junta over some regions. So if that is the case, then think that your future is gonna be dark, like that happened to Africa much years before, because the resource colonialization is an important problem for which many people will suffer for many decades. So that is one important factor from the past, reading the history to the present. Okay, so these are the 10 top themes based on the current affairs in which you can expect a question on this year mains world history. Also, along with the discussion, we have discussed on some security topics. Some of the topics which we discussed may be useful for your IR also. If some of the topics come to my mind, I will again jot it down for you in another video. I hope you enjoy the video. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe to our channel, and also let us know your comments, like what etc. more you want for your mains preparation for your next year pre etc. We are all hands to help you. Thank you.